shit on yourself. That's why they call me Balboa, nigga.
Well, they don't quite call me Balboa, but sometimes they call me In the Morning. And right now is one of those sometimes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's March 13th. That's what day it is. I almost lost a speaker going down for the count. But we're here, ladies and gentlemen, Sunday at a fresh new time, 10 a.m. 8 a.m. is sort of honestly, 8 a.m. isn't even the tradition, honestly. We started once upon a time at, what's it called? We started once upon a time about 7 a.m. And then 8 a.m. was the best I could do. And I don't know, I think we've been shifting it around. We've been shifting the show around a little bit. And frankly, I think that 10 a.m. is probably the best we're going to get. I didn't do 10 a.m. prior because a lot of times SPL or whatever the hell I needed to do in the office was at 1 o'clock, which means I have to get there at 12, which means if I have a show from, usually the show is 2 hours. This week might be a little shorter since it's kind of a slow week in general in Smite. Usually we go for 2 hours. Going from 10 to 12 would kind of be rough. Now I think we're starting to, I don't think that's going to be the case. But either way, I'm committed to the 10 o'clock time. I like waking up a little bit later. I'm sure North Americans like waking up a little bit later. Shouts to my California people or West Coast. Everybody outside of DJ Pernicus is actually still sleeping when I go live because it's like 5 in the morning. It literally was 5 in the morning for the West Coast. And outside of DJ, who is, up all night because of his crazy schedule, West Coast kind of got smoked. So 10 o'clock on the East Coast is 7 a.m. On the West Coast, which means you can make it if you really care that much. And shouts to my Euros. We're still at a European-friendly time, if you ask me. What is it, like 3 in the afternoon? Which, it's a Sunday. The hell are you doing? So I think this is a good time for everybody to sort of make it. We'll see, though. I mean, we'll definitely see. I for one welcome the ability to not wake up at 6 in the damn morning. 6:30 is actually when I wake up for first period. And I'm not a morning person, believe it or not. I'm just not. So I'm happy. I hope you're happy. Leave some feedback on YouTube or something. I don't know. I'm trying to force some interaction out of you guys because that's what makes life good. Anyway, as I said, relatively slow week in the world of competitive Smite. New patch is probably one of the bigger things that we'll be talking about today. Some team stuff. One thing that I wanted to touch upon before moving on in the show is not sometimes. Smite is a smaller esport, and esports in general tend to be a little bit more personal. Whether it's, that's a whole nother conversation. Why is esports so close to us or so personal as opposed to traditional sports? And I think it has a lot to do with the streaming platform in the sense that, these our stars are a little closer to us, right? Like, you can't exactly tune into twitch.tv/LeBron James and like have a conversation with him. But, if you really want, you can go to twitch.tv/ShadowQWE and like spam memes at him and he can spam memes back at you. Or you can go to, twitch.tv/MLC Stealth and you guys can listen to Nickelback together. Or you can go to twitch.tv/Barracuda and just, hang out with a nice dude, the fish tank. And as I said, for a result of that or whatever it is, esports tend to be a little bit closer. We tend to be a little bit more connected to each other. And with Smite, even more so, because we're sort of like a smaller crew, it's the worlds of LCS and Counter-Strike is getting up there are so big. And hopefully we reach that level. I would absolutely love it. But for now, we're definitely a little bit smaller than that. And that breeds more of this closer interconnectivity type stuff. And so I don't want to spend a lot of time, but I do want to mention some of one of the recent happenings here in the week that doesn't have much to do with Smite, but has everything to do with the people around Smite, and so by connection has everything to do with us. And that's Barracuda. Barracuda, one of our stars, one of our league, just somebody to look up to, honestly. General nice guy of the league. Unfortunately, good things seem to happen to, or bad things seem to happen to good people, I should say. Bad things happen to good people is what I'm trying to say. All jokes aside, being very serious right now. Barra recently lost his brother in a weird accident. Brother just sort of got lost off of a trail, and people couldn't find him in time. So unfortunately, he passed away. And thoughts and prayers are what people always rush to in these situations. My thoughts are prayers are with you or whatnot. And while they totally are, that is not, without going full Anthony Jeselnik on you. That it's a little bit more than that. Seeing that sort of situation is rough, and really as just a friend or somebody in the league, somebody in the scene that I consider close as a friend, everything that I can offer, I do to Mr. Salter, Barracuda, and his family. It's a rough situation, and nobody can really plan for that. And speaking from experience losing family members in accidents or otherwise, like, you can't ever really expect this sort of thing, and it's really just something that you keep on keeping on about. And looking at how Barracuda has done his life in the past, and looking at him on Twitter and stuff, I think he's exactly where he needs to be. So I'm. It's with a heavy heart that I mention this, and my thoughts and prayers do go out to Barra, but of course everything else as well. And it was a nice gesture to see some of his teammates and ex-teammates fly down to Georgia for the funeral of his brother. So shouts to the interconnectivity and everything. So again, much love to Barracuda and the Salter family. Definitely in my thoughts and everything beyond that. Scott Salter was a teacher and an overall nice individual. Met him once, but I mean, he's Barra's brother. You can't. The apple it's impossible for the apple to fall too far from that tree. So that family in general was just some of the nicest people. So again, thoughts out to them, and I wish them the best in the future. Really, honestly, that's all you really can do is keep on keeping on, and to switch up things, to change the mood a little bit. Good things happened in Smite this week as well. One of our bigger teams actually got sponsored, which is actually a term I don't like, and I'll talk about that in a minute. One of our teams got a new organization attached to them, which is actually very cool. Team Flex. Team Flex is obviously one of the bigger names in Smite esports, and they are no longer unaffiliated. Team Flex has attracted the attention of a relatively new esports organization called Team Allegiance, which is a team with I want to say its roots in Halo, but there aren't really roots per se, since the team was just sort of planted. I mean, they're barely germinated. The team was founded October 25th, 2015, which is last year, but a couple of months ago. It's when my brother turned 21. October 14th is my brother's birthday, if anybody wants to get him a birthday present next year. He likes Kobe Bryant. He sells Snapple. He likes liquor. He's a good, upstanding kid. October 14th, if you want to get my brother a present, just give it to me, and I will keep it and tell you I gave it to Andrew. But so, Flex, they're signed with Allegiance. And as I said, they're a young organization. They had a Halo team with recognizable players. You might know the name Naded or whatnot. So I don't know. Allegiance, they're not nonsense, or at least they have yet to prove themselves to be nonsense. They're very young, so this is an exciting opportunity. That goes either way, right? When you have a young team like this, especially with as such a decent backing as the Flex guys, is a good opportunity for both Flex and the organization, and hopefully everything goes correctly, because Team Flex that's a team that I want to be involved with if I'm doing esports, right? Like they're a strong team. They're not a show match team, right? Like that team is going to win some games. Will they be number one in North America? I will bet my savings account. There's really not that much in there. But I will bet my savings account that they're not number one, but they're probably not too far off. I definitely don't think they're number 8. They're a competent team is what I'm saying. They're a good team. And then on the side of, bang for your buck, you've got 3 like top end streamers on that team, right? Matty Pocket, Lazes, and Incon. And then Oceans is a relatively new player, and you're just creating a situation where there's going to be a lot of exposure for your team, whether it comes by way of wins. There's an upside, right? There is a long shot that Flex is number 1 or number 2, despite the tough competition in the league, and there is a guarantee that they're going to be streaming like 4 days a week. At least. Probably more than that. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm in esports and I'm looking for a team, or if I'm young in esports and I'm looking for a team, this is exactly what I want. Obviously, like right now, if you're in esports, I think you kind of want a League of Legends team in the LCS. I think you kind of want a CSGO team fucking around with the ESL Pro League and then E-League theoretically, right? But if you're starting off, Smite is a great game to really get into, because Hi-Rez provides travel a lot of the time for these PC teams, and honestly, investment is low, but exposure is potentially high, like with Team Flex. And as I said, I mean, it's not like they are a team of 5 streamers that are bad, that aren't going to win, but will be popular. It's not like me and Acepir got together and found 3 clouds to make a team with, and we snuck our way in relegations, and it's like, hey, all these streamers are getting together, it's going to be so cool, they're going to be so good. Like, that's not the case. They're players that happen to be streamers. So this is a great opportunity for Team Allegiance. They're fresh. In a world where it's very easy to make mistakes, they haven't made mistakes just yet. Which I think is a good move. It's, and looking at the guys from Flex, they're not idiots. Lazes is one of the older guys in the scene, so he's got his experience, and a lot of these guys have been around the block as far as contracts are concerned, outside of Oceans, obviously. But Incon has signed a contract, Lazes has signed good and bad contracts. That's a team that understands what they're doing. So I haven't seen the contract. I can't speak exactly to it, but I do have a certain amount of faith in the team to not sign something stupid. So shouts to Allegiance for at least, seasons change. So shouts to Allegiance for at least on the surface seeming to be an all right organization. Because like I said, I don't exactly picture Lazes signing a contract that he doesn't read. He's been around this block once or twice. And Incon as well has, I'm sure he's made some mistakes behind the scenes as well as made some good decisions. But Incon seems very interested and just very attentive. So hyped for Allegiance. And this is a symbiotic relationship, I think. It's a fresh team. They were made like 5 freaking months ago. They don't exist, essentially. And their Halo team started off with something interesting, and I don't know, we'll see where it goes. But Team Flex can be a launching pad for Allegiance, which is pretty cool to think about. And in the same sense, Allegiance is going to help out their pro team, which is dope. I hope that there's a lot of cool stuff in the making. We'll see. I don't know. You don't wish you had 5 clouds. If anybody really thinks that they want 5 clouds on a team cracking me in the head, you're fried. Oh my goodness. So one free kill S if Looney Tunes got a sponsor. I know what you mean, so I'm going to say no, they haven't yet. But actually, that's something that's a little side note that I wanted to bring up. I mentioned it to commentary staff, so you'll hear this swap of terminology. Organizations like CLG, or I only bring up CLG because CLG Ron Jobbert is in my face on my Twitter timeline, even though he's not affiliated. He's just a liar and a cheat and a scammer. CLG, Team Solo Mid, Cloud9, these are all organizations. They're not necessarily, they're not sponsors, not necessarily. They can become a sponsor of something, but they're not sponsors. And that seems like a small bit of semantics, but it's actually kind of important for the people that are behind those brands. A sponsor is somebody that just provides like money or utilities, or if we actually look up the term sponsor, it's a person or organization that provides funds for a project or activity carried out by another in particular, which I guess by fucking definition these organizations are sponsors to the individuals that they run. But colloquially, that's not the correct terminology. Sponsors are basically the companies that pay organizations to be a part of the advertising suite, right? So like Razer was a sponsor of Team Eager, Rocat sponsors some team. I actually think it's CLG. Maybe it's just because they have whatever. These companies, these peripheral companies, these monitor companies, these PC companies, these guys sponsor orgs, and then organizations acquire or represent teams. And like I said, it sounds like something silly in semantics, but it's actually a point of pride for organization owners to not be sponsors. That seems kind of lowly in juxtaposition to being this esports organization. I wouldn't say the Yankees, like when somebody gets drafted in pro sports, they don't say, well, the Yankees sponsor the young Derek Jeter, or the young football captain, the quarterback out of Florida State is now sponsored by the Dallas Cowboys. Like, that's not what you say. You say the Cowboys acquired this guy, or the player has become a part of the team, right? And that sort of terminology, that sort of, I guess, respect is sort of extended to the same idea. So again, like it totally is semantics. Yes, sure, and like you understand what it means, but if you want to be correct and respectful to the org owners, this is a conversation I've had a couple of times with org owners, and like there's a difference there. They're teams that represent players as opposed to just sponsors. So like yes, technically by definition, I guess they're sponsored, but like, dog, Hi-Rez doesn't sponsor me. I work for them, right? And I think that's the same idea. Jeff Hindley didn't get sponsored by, what it is? I think sponsor implies, when you're talking about sponsoring an individual, I think sponsor implies a certain amount of charity, right? Like when I hear sponsor outside of like, State Farm sponsors this bullshit. Not this bullshit yet. Jake from State Farm, if you want to call me up, go ahead. But I think when you're talking about that, like when I think of sponsor, I think of like AA or NA, right? Like I think of somebody that's there for charity, or like, let's sponsor this person in their triathlon to support breast cancer or something, right? Like that's like an individual sponsor. It feels very charity. So the term sponsor probably feels or does feel a little weird for organization owners. So I think I guess technically it's semantics, and if you say somebody was sponsored by Cloud9, nobody's gonna be like, huh? With the swaggy P face. They're gonna understand what the hell you mean. But if you want to be the right guy, it's one of those things where like, I'm never gonna correct you if you come up to me and tell me that so-and-so was sponsored by somebody in conversation. If I'm on stream and we're chilling, of course, that's different. But like if somebody comes up to me in real life and goes, hey man, Looney Tunes got sponsored by Renegades, I'm not going to be like, well, actually, they weren't sponsored, and I don't know what you're talking about, but I did hear the news that Renegades was going to acquire. Like, no, that's not the case. But yeah, if you want to be the guy that gets everything right, sure. Good morning, Pixie. Are you pretty? I don't know. What up, Scott Gandhi? Good morning. How you doing? We've moved the time of the show a little bit back to help out Scott Gandhi. Scott mentioned that, he wouldn't be here for 8 in the morning on a Sunday. He doesn't want to get up early. So we're moving. We did move the time over as far as that's concerned. One of the bigger things outside of Team Flex being signed by Allegiance, we've also got the conclusion of relegation. Both North America and AU are finito. Hooray! Last week we covered how the North American teams were pretty much all done. Shit, I need these notes. Or the European teams at the time were all done because we aired at 8 a.m. and the North American regionals or relegation went on a little bit later at 1 o'clock or whatnot. But, hey Kirsch, but North America's done as well. So, that means on the side of NA, you're going to see all the teams you're used to seeing. Envy. So Envy's still together without Allied, obviously, scrubbed out, and he's going to be casting with us. MLC Stealth took his place because Cloud9 broke up for the most part. They splintered off and became Looney Tunes primarily. The dual lane's the same. The mid lane is taken up by Boosh, and the jungle is the same. And the solo lane is Mr. Snoopy, which is definitely something interesting to think about. Everybody's favorite multi-role player, not Heroin. Sorry. No, Heroin's everybody's favorite multi-role player, but if you guys are newer to the Smite scene, then you might not know that Snoopy was once the multi-role player. Snoopy actually got his start in Smite being a substitute for Denial. And now Denial, once upon a time, we're going down memory lane real quick. Denial once upon a time was Payne Devion's team. Payne Devion played Hunter while Jeff supported him. And then in the mid lane was Mace of the Face. Denial has been in Smite 2-3 times, and Mace is always there for some reason. Jungle is Pon Pon, ooh la la. Hi-Rez's very own community manager, Pon Pon. And then solo lane was a guy named Rushed who coached a team in season 1, but since then has been very quiet, at least in the Smite scene. So anyway, it was a nice trip down memory lane, but Snoopy's come a long way since then. Oh, I thought that was a bug. That's a note. An old note. Can I get it? I got a trophy over there. Let's see if it goes in. I didn't get it in, but you can't see that, so fuck you. I'm the best. I got it in. So we got Envy going, obviously, Sans Allied. We've got Looney Tunes, which is basically Cloud9 with a little bit of Baskin and a little bit of Boosh. Team Solo Mid really doesn't exist. That's really splintered off into multiple spots. Ernie, that's great. What used to be known as Cognitive is now Eager. It's you've got DJ Pern and the Best, and they're going to team up with Zapman, Aurora, and Divios, which is one of my favorite looks. TSA, I love you. I don't love that word. Purge. So that's one of my teams that I'm looking at for sure this summer, or this split, is that Eager squad. A lot of people are putting them sort of lower in the rankings, but I think that this team has a big potential. This team can absolutely be a number one squad if everything works together. I feel like DJ Pernicus, a lot of the members on this team have what I call hero syndrome, where they feel like they need to where I feel like they need to really step it up in order to like win. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times that man is just like, all right, guys, I'll carry. And I think we see the same shit out of DJ Pernicus specifically. DJ has a problem with that for sure. So I think that as long as everybody can curtail that sort of thought process, I think that Eager is going to be a very scary team. If that happens, they are going to maybe not catch everybody by surprise necessarily, but I think that they're definitely going to bring home some victories that I don't think everybody might expect. That's a big if, though. That's a big if, especially when you're in a league with, as I said, Looney Tunes, which is a scary roster. You've got the Sex Tank duo lane, Boosh in the mid, Andy in the jungle, and Snoopy in the solo. You've got Problem Solved, which is a scary team. That's the one with Met Yankee and Jigs in the duo lane. And Met Yankee is one of these players that is actually really, really good. We just haven't seen him on a good enough team, on a big enough stage. When you're playing on Elevate, and good luck making a name for yourself. Aduro did it. Good for Aduro. But, like, that's pretty much it. So Problem Solved is definitely going to cause problems for a lot of players. Denial got a new facelift. Denial is where all the power of the old enemy roster was. And you guys have seen, I did an interview with the guys from Enemy, both the owners of Enemy, and then I did an interview with Drelo and Mask talking about their situations and everything. You can catch those interviews on YouTube. Here's the one with the owners of Enemy, and here's the interview with Drelo and Mask. And then last week, we actually had Vedium come on first period, and he talked. It's about halfway through this one. Link Barrage in the chat. So you guys can catch up on that situation. Basically, there really wasn't too much drama. The team was like, hey, Payne, you're underperforming. We should replace you. And Payne was like, I mean, okay. Everybody thought I kicked everybody last time. Let me make a concession and you know, be the nice guy. And then eventually was like, nah, you know what? Screw that. I want to be on the team. And they both went separate ways. Chaos stuck with Payne, and they're going to be bringing on 3 rookies. What a surprise. You've got Panda Cat, you've got Marauder, and you've got a guy named Scream who goes by Vizariel. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I promise I'll get it right before the league actually starts. That team is very fresh, and you know what? I was proven last time when I said I don't think Enemy can do it, but I don't know. This time around, I know the player's a little bit better. Panda Cat is great. We'll see how he fares in the SPL field. Marauder is still very fresh, and Scream is a question mark for me, honestly. I've seen him play. I've seen him do his thing, but definitely that's a team that I don't expect to be on the top half of the league. If we're looking at top 4, bottom 4, I expect that Enemy team to be on the bottom side. For the rest of Enemy, now a part of Denial, I expect quite the opposite. The brothers Grabowski are still the backbone of that team. It's, you know, Grabowski Cuts Incorporated. Mace to the face in the mid lane. What is a Denial team without a Mace to the face? And then Shadow Q is the support. And then everybody else from Denial everybody else from Enemy that I didn't mention is on the squad. So Vedium is going to be playing in the Hunter role. Salt Machine, now known as Benji the First or something ridiculous, is in the solo lane. Jungle is going to be Mask, and Drelo is going to be coaching. So, yes, if you're wondering, Adjust has been replaced twice without playing a game by the same person. Congratulations to Mask for kicking the same dude twice in one offseason. Hold on. I'm gonna do this correctly. So congratulations to Mask for kicking the same dude off twice in one situation. Something that we have yet to see. Mask, he is taking a seat, or he's taking the seat from Adjust for twice Mask is disgustingly good, without a doubt. And I think that when it comes down to it, Mask and Adjust are, and I mean, I'm saying this from outdated information. If you actually, Mask has been streaming twitch.tv/mask33d, and he is very, very, very strong. So as far as that replacement, like, that's a big duh for me. Is Mask better than Adjust? It's probably premature to say that, but is Mask an assumed similar skill level? Yes. Is he friends with, like, is he part of that team already? Yes. It's just a group thing. It's a team thing. Adjust has been cited as having communication problems. I don't know if that's true. That's why he was let go from Enemy, right? For Mask. And then Denial picked him up, and before he could play a game, he was replaced by Mask. So we'll see how that actually winds up. And really, Adjust, we should find him a home. If Adjust doesn't have a team next week, I think we're gonna have an Adjust special, because Adjust is a great player. He's not the reason Enemy made it to finals, but he's a big goddamn part of it. Maybe he's got some communication issues. I don't know. Should I reach out to Adjust and talk to him a little bit? Because I've never spoken to the guy. Even at Worlds, I never really spoke to him. I said hi to him once or twice. So, I don't know. ShadowQ, or Adjust texted ShadowQ one day before relegation saying he wasn't going to make it. That sounds rough, but I'm sure, like, Mask was going to be a part of it anyway, right? You don't just go, okay, well, since that happened, I guess I'll accept the guys from the number 2 team that made it to finals at Worlds. If I'm ShadowQ, and I'm not saying this was his thought process, but if I'm in ShadowQ's shoes, you know what that does for me? I got a reason to kick him. Yes, because I'm taking Mask anyway. This just makes me look like less of a dick because I have a reason. Right? Like, so Mask, you're going to be on the team along with we got Vedium, we got Salt Machine, we got Drelo, we got the whole crew. Don't worry, Mask, you're going to be a part of it as well. And I'm writing down, oh man, what am I going to do? How am I going to say this to him? Oh, Adjust. I'm not going to make it tomorrow. That's it. The reason you're not on the team is because you can't make it tomorrow. Done. See ya. I'm not a dick anymore. So that's what I would do. Best team in North America. As I said, I think the potential of Eager is super high. With a player like Divios, sure, he probably has got to get back into it. And I just think that roster has a super big potential. They could be number 1. But I think the safe bet is to say Looney Tunes will be number 1. I think that Looney Tunes is the number 1 team in North America if Eager doesn't achieve their height. Essentially, picture it like this, guys. Picture it like this. I think that Cloud9, or Looney Tunes, excuse me, is going to be like here, right? They're going to be 1 to 3. We'll see. Eager, on the other hand, if this is Cloud9 and they're potentially 1 through 3, I think that Eager, on the other hand, is potentially way higher than 1 or way lower than 3. I think that these two teams exist like this. Eager is either going to like completely separate from the pack and be that much better, or they're going to be. I think that there's a big wave in between there based on the chemistry of these players and how they get together. But the safe bet, as I said, Looney Tunes is number 1. That's Andy Bush, the Sex Tank, and solo laner Snoop Dizzle. Evan Snoopy Man Jones making it into that solo lane for sure. One of the things that I think that people underestimate about Snoopy, as I said, I mentioned it before, was that he was a multi-role substitute for Denial back in the day. So yes, he's relearning solo. It's been a long ass time since he played it, and many metas have come and gone. But I think that it's not like Captain Twig switching to jungle, where it was just like, what's going on? I have to learn forever. I think that there's a little bit of learning. I don't think that Envy is a number 1 team at the moment, Scott. I think that Envy is powerful. I think that they're good. I think that they're strong. I don't see them number 1 in a world of Looney Tunes, in a world of Problem Solved. I think that Envy and Problem Solved are probably on the same mark. just because of how much I really will always, when it comes to Smite, I'll always value what Weekend and Cyclone can do. I think that they're strong despite a lot of the haters out there. I think that Weekend has a good head on his shoulders for calling the game and making those plays and making those calls, at least for the plays. And Cyclone's been adapting to the hunter role is probably the thing that's most under my microscope. I want to see how well Cyclone adjusts to the hunter role, because this is the role that Cyclone has been playing for a long time out of the solo lane, right? Not necessarily with respect to the gods that he's playing, although who knows what the hell he's taking into the duo lane knowing Cyclone. Mr. Innovator over there. But realistically, Cyclone always sort of played this game where, like, I'm going to go hide, holla when it's like 15 minutes in, and I'll come demolish somebody at the end of a team fight, right? He wasn't the guy rotating at a solo at 2 minutes for those mid-harpies, right? He was the guy that, like, listen, I'm going to show up when I can demolish 2 people, probably halfway through the team fight. And that's exactly what a hunter does. Hide him in the duo lane. I'll see you later, bro. Later on, like, they show up and they destroy things. Cyclone Spin is like the angsty teenager of Smite, in the sense that, like, he's born at level 1 and he's like, leave me alone. I don't want to see nobody. Go away. Go away. And then, you know, by the time he's 18, fuck it. By the time he's 16, he's coming out of the lane just. That's what a hunter does. That's what a hunter does. So I think that Cyclone will adjust to the hunter role pretty much no problem. I'm not concerned about that the way I've been concerned about other position swaps. But I think that in general, Envy will have a hard time stepping up to Looney Tunes specifically, eager if they get the ball rolling like I want them to. And Problem Solved as well. Problem Solved is a team that Jigs is always interesting, because I haven't really thought of Jigs as like the number one mechanically skilled player in the world. I think that he's talented enough, but I don't think of him as like the guy that hits all of his shit. I don't think of the guy like, man, if I want to support, I want Jigs. But he is one of the best minds in Smite. And you know, we've had our differences, Jigs and I, but recently he's one of the things that really excites me about Jigs is he and I, like I said, we've had our differences, and Jigs sort of stepped up, and I don't want to say apologized to me, but you know, he addressed the concern, which is always my situation. I'm always like, yo, bro, why is there a situation? Let's talk about it. And so he stepped up, and one of the problems that I think Jigs has had in the past has been a lack of maturity. And coming into this season, I think he's judged on, you know, that conversation he and I had, and even judging from his tweets, I think that Jigs has become more mature, which is very important if you're going to be sort of in this. I don't know if he's the captain of Problem Solved, but he's definitely a vocal member of the team. And Jigs being smart, or at least thinking about the game in a different context, is really not a surprise. This is sort of like Jigs' calling card, if you will. And we can take a look here. There it is. We can take a look here, and just to let you know where Jigs' mind is going, he's got an idea for a new support item. And I like this tweet. I think that this is a good idea. And basically, he's got a preamble here saying, like, it sucks balancing support items because solos are going to take it, and solos are out of control, and you can't really make an item for support because solos will use it as well, and then cracking me in the head, who cares? But as he makes his way down lower on, he makes the argument, there should be an item for support, like defense items that work the way Watcher's Gifts do, in the sense that you build stacks and build up stats based on those stacks, based on not getting last hits, based on someone else getting last hits, which is, you know, it's not a ground, you know, I'm not saying the guy needs a Nobel Peace Prize for this idea, but I just want to give you guys a little bit of insight into, like, Jigs thinks about the game in a different way than a lot of the other players do, or at least on a deeper level. So I think that having Jigs on a team is valuable, just because, like I said, he might not be the number one support I personally go to if I'm looking for a guy to I don't know, play Sobek, like nail really precision heavy abilities. But I definitely want him in my think tank. I definitely want him talking to me about how to better our team. So with Jigs on the roster of Problem Solved, I think that this team looked good from the get-go, and then they tripped and fell and landed on a Baskin. Oops! I got the best solo laner in the world. My bad. I mean, that team's going to be nasty. That team's going to be nasty. So in that regard, I think that Problem Solved is going to be a problem for a lot of these teams. No pun intended. I think if Gandhi's going to force me, to call a 1-2-3, I think we see Looney Tunes, Eager. I think we see Looney Tunes, Problem Solved, Envy. And then Eager exists somewhere depending on the cow jumping over the moon. I think that Baskin has proven himself to be the best solo laner, at least in North America. For the world, I guess that's a little bit more complicated. Dimmy's going to give him a run for his money at the very least. But I think that Baskin has earned, my personal opinion, Baskin has earned his right to be called the best solo laner in North America. I don't think Game Hunter is the best solo laner in the world. We'll see how that works out. Omega, yeah, sure. Omega's there. The reason I give Baskin, and full disclosure, y'all know, and if you don't, what's wrong with you? Full disclosure, y'all know that I am a big Omega stan. I love Omega. I love the way he plays the game. I love the dude. I think Omega is like numero uno in my world. But Baskin, I think, plays the assassins a little bit better than Omega. If you want a Hebo, go call your man's Ryan Johnson. But if I have to be objective, I think that Baskin probably takes the cake, but Omega had a big bite of that cake, if you will. What happened to Gars? Gars is on a team called the Randozos. That's pretty much Elevate. They will likely make it in as there are 2 open spots for relegation. I haven't spoken to the admins. I don't know if anything's set in stone, but I imagine that the Randozos get it in. That's Gars in the jungle, Aduro in the mid lane, PBM, Polar Bear Mike, and Meerkat in the long lane. And then solo lane is Scary D. So, yes. And then over on the European side, Variety, of course. Hi, Variety. Variety has me blocked on Twitter, so I can't tweet at him. So everybody in chat say hi to Variety. This show is sponsored by Variety Salt, because there's a lot of it. Moving on to Europe, since we covered all of North America, we're looking at the European teams, which largely stayed the same. North America got shaken up a lot. Europe, on the other hand, is a little more stable, I guess. Epsilon's the same. Fnatic's the same. Paradigm is the same. Epsilon and Paradigm are the same. Fnatic have changed their roster. Nothing has been said officially, but it's been the open secret that their replacements for Captain Twig and Badger, who have moved on to Hungry for More and Leftovers respectively, will be a guy named Jiffy in the jungle, who, if you guys aren't familiar with him, Jiffy is apparently very, very talented. He reminds me a lot of Mask. He's apparently very, very talented, but previously viewed as a toxic individual. We'll see how he has changed. I know that Mask, who knows? Everything's a facade, but Mask has changed. I watch his stream, and he's a great dude. Twitch.tv/mask33d. You can check him out. He's the new Denial jungler. Jiffy seems to be a similar situation. Nice guy, cool dude. Or not a nice guy, not a cool dude, very good at Smite, and apparently he's shaped up his attitude. He'll be in the jungle. And Big Man Tings, you might recognize him from last year's relegation. He is rumored to be the support. As I said, this is sort of the open secret. So I don't know if it's true necessarily, but that's sort of the go-to. Mask is here, there you go. So, apparently Jiffy is the European Mask. Very, very talented dude that couldn't find a team because he was a dickbag, and hopefully for 2016 he's changed that up. Big Man Tings is a talented support player that I think I haven't paid attention to as much as other Europeans, because if Fnatic, a team that I consider one of the better teams in the world, is going to pick up Big Man Tings, they have seen something that I haven't seen. I've always liked the man's name, Big Man Tings doing the Iceman things with Ymir, or now that Odin's prevalent, I can't wait to say Big Man Tings with the Big Man rings. But Ependary says he's a beast. I trust Ependary. Ependary is the dude that woke up, subbed in for Captain Twig, and then got MVP for the week. So I trust Ependary a little bit on that one. Leftovers, sure. They're in now. They took the spot away from Justice and Myrmidons. Leftovers is Badger's team. You've got Nika in the solo lane. Bunch of new faces actually for Leftovers, which should be a lot of fun, honestly. And I mentioned this on the broadcast recently, is that Badger has to play a different role now, which is really fun. Badger is a player that I think always something that I really liked about Badger was that he visibly improved. I didn't like Badger's play early on in Smite. And then as he kept playing, he sort of slowly got better. And there was a period of time where we saw the player routinely get picked off. It was when Gandhi was casting. So if Gandhi's here, he can attest to this. Every single time. This was at a period of time, if you guys are newer to Smite, where the Smite meta was very much based around mid Harpies. There was a skirmish around them every time. You see it sort of now, but you couldn't miss mid Harpies. They were very important. They were just as important as the frickin' Gold Fury. And basically, they spawned every 3 minutes. You would get them in the beginning, you'd go to lane. Every single time Badger would make that rotation of the first mid Harpies, he would just die. He would just get smoked, he would get picked out, and he would die. And we called him out for it a couple of times, and you know what he did? And Badger's had some issues as far as whatever it's called, social media, I guess. I don't know. In any event, Badger's had some issues with that, but this wasn't it. Casters called him out, and he was like, you know what, shit, I'm dying a lot, and then fixed it, and we saw him get better and better. And I think that's sort of Badger's deal, is that Badger will get better if you light a fire under his ass. And this is the hottest fire that Badger has ever had under his ass. He's the captain. I mean, being on Fnatic forever, being on Fnatic for as long as he was, Badger was sort of in the shadow of players like Reels and of players like even Zero sort of usurped him as far as his shadow is concerned. And I mean, like I said, he played on Bipolar Method once upon a time, but 2014, March 30th, 2014, he was on SK, and he was on SK for a long time before that, and SK turned into Fnatic. So this is the first time where he's really the guy, and I think that that's a very good look for Badger. I think this will force him into not only improving himself, but improving his team. And I'm very excited for this new Badger. I'm very excited for a Badger that has responsibility on his shoulders. I think that it's interesting. So if you're unfamiliar with the team, it's Badger and Arkle in the long lane. Cherio, one of my favorite players in the SPL, is going to be in the mid lane. Fails renamed himself to Jungler, which is probably a better name than something that's synonymous with failure. Fails. But Jungler. And Nika, the guy, is playing solo lane. Nika is not a woman. He's not a girl. It's not the case. Don't be fooled. That's not the case. He's a guy. So that team, honestly, that team is how well Nika learns, because Nika is going to get booty stomped by European solo laners. But Nika also seems like the type to learn quickly. So I think that Nika is the type of player to get stomped on in lane in the SPL, learn from it, assess the situation, and become better for it. I think there are a lot of players out there that you can look at and they just get beat, and they just get beat, and they just get beat. I think Nika is the type of character that just gets beat, and just gets beat, and then does the beating. So I got a good look for leftovers. Are they number 1? No. Are they number 2? No. But they're probably not so bad. He doesn't identify as a woman. Nika identifies as a man. So, leftovers are pretty exciting. Cringe Crew, formerly known as London Conspiracy. They've changed things around. They accepted Repicos into their lives. Repicos will be the new jungler for this team, looking for an organization, not a sponsor. Looking for an organization. We'll see where they wind up. Titan has disbanded, and more so, Titan has actually become defunct. Titan is no longer a part of esports at all. Unfortunately for them, the cheating of one of their Counter-Strike players, KQLY, really hurt them. And Titan is no longer an organization. So, even beyond that, organization is even beyond that, Mr. Tim with the troll. This is the picture that Mr. Tim sent me, by the way. But I don't know. I've heard from many people that he's not a girl. And you know what? The website's going to be updated and launched in a couple of days, so this joke will end very soon. Very soon. So in any event, Titan folded. They're no longer a team. Ataraxia will keep the spot. His new team is now called Hungry for More. And they will try to make their way into the or through the SPL. It's going to be Ataraxia in the long lane, supported by Zindern, name we all know. We'll see if we love him. Pretty Prime, a name we all know and love. Captain Twig and Variety. Zindern, Ataraxia, Pretty Prime, Captain Twig, Variety. This roster seems mediocre on the surface. Once again, shout out to Variety. Love you, man. Thanks for watching. You can tweet at me later if you want. I think this team looks relatively mediocre, and I don't mean that as tossing shade. I mean that as my objective assessment of this squad. I think that Ataraxia is a fantastic hunter. I think that Pretty Prime is a fantastic mid laner. I think that Captain Twig struggles in the jungle. I think that Variety is a average solo laner, and I think that Zindern has a lot to prove. So, basically, I think that Ataraxia and Pretty Prime are the backbone of this team. They're going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting because Captain Twig, Deathians jumping in with his own emote. That's my man, Deathians. Gotta throw the self emote in there. But yeah, I think Pretty Prime and Ataraxia do a lot of the heavy lifting on this team. Captain Twig I love Twiggy. I absolutely love Mr. Knight. I love Twiggy. He's one of the nicer dudes in the world. I think it's hilarious how nice he is and how his gameplay or his game mode of choice is a 1v1 beat you up simulator. But besides the point, Captain Twig's ability in the jungle has always left me feeling like I want something more. Like I liked Captain Twig in the mid lane, and I think that Captain Twig was a very good mid laner. And when Captain Twig was booted from Fnatic, I really expected him to approach a team with mid lane in mind. Again, he's a dual player. He gets the one-on-one. He knows the matchups. I like Captain Twig in the mid lane, but he's going to be playing again in the jungle, and I just think that for the few good games that Captain Twig does wind up having in the jungle, looking at his past performances, the few good games that Captain Twig has had in the jungle are outweighed by the games that Captain Twig doesn't do too well in the jungle. And the team can win with him. Like, I'm not saying it's you put Captain Twig and Jay and they're going to lose. It's winnable. He's not the world's worst, but I think that he's much more talented in the middle lane, and I just I prefer him in the mid lane. Ependary brings up a good point. He's got a lot less pressure and toxicity his way. Now, I don't want to say that the guys on Fnatic are toxic, but the guys on Fnatic are definitely they're winners. They're guys that they're hungry for more, for lack of a better term. They're competitive. They're fiercely competitive. Knowing the guys as well as I do Marcus and I can't pronounce Zeros' name correctly. There's going to be a Swedish guy in here that calls me out for it, so I'll just call him Zeros. At least it's better than me saying Zyros. But in any event, very competitive vibe on the world of Fnatic. Maniac, Zeros, Reals. So while I wouldn't call that toxic, I think there's a difference between a fiercely competitive nature and a intensely negative nature, and I think that Fnatic represents the former. Captain Twig is a soft-spoken, very nice individual, and while I don't want to call him soft, and that's not what I'm doing, I definitely think he has a different vibe than the rest of Fnatic, so maybe his ability in the jungle goes up, based on the fact that he's not surrounded by an attitude that isn't necessarily in compliance with his own. But I do think that has to be proven. As it stands right now, I have seen Captain Twig underperform routinely in the jungle, and I crossed my fingers and toes and everything in between, hoping that he would find a mid lane position, but he didn't. He's in the jungle again, which I think is a liability. Variety in solo lane, he's come a long way. Once upon a time, we called him a weak link, and I will defend that because I think that Variety was once the worst player on a bad team. Now, Variety has become a better player. If you go back and you watch the games from the beginning of last season to the end of last season, Variety became a better player. One, he started playing things that were a little bit more meta. He kept the Ullr and the Chronos, which I respect. It's not all about playing things that are meta and leaving your personal picks behind. It's about learning how to follow the rules before you break them. He learned how to play the meta of the solo lane and then brought back the Ullr and the Chronos and did very well with them. So kudos to Variety. Bully for him. I think the Variety has improved a lot since those days, but I don't necessarily think that he is, the best player in the world. I'm sorry, don't block me on Twitter. But, I think that he is a role player on this squad, and as long as he's able to be a role player while Pretty Prime and Ataraxia do the heavy lifting, that's all well and good. Captain Twig needs to step up and be better than he was last season objectively, and Zindern has to surprise me. Zindern has flirted with pro play for a long time. I've known him for a long time. Zindern's a friend is probably pushing it, but we're friendly acquaintances. I like Zindern for the most part. But his experiences in the SPL have left a lot to be desired. He hasn't been the number one player, but he's also been in a carry role. He's been in the jungle, and I think we've only seen him in the jungle, but we've seen him in a carry role. Here, Zindern is going to be playing in the support position, so different everything, so to speak. I'm very interested to see how Zindern sort of transitions over there. Ependary's not looking for a team. Why not? You gotta tell me why you're not looking for a team. Because, as I said last time, you're the dude that walked in after not playing professionally forever and then decided to get MVP in a week. So I actually wanted to see you take that jungle spot on Fnatic, but I don't know. I don't know the inner workings between the two of you. My bad. What up, Warrington? In any event, moving on away from the that team, hungry for more. Dignitas is they're pretty much the same team. I don't know who they've got in the solo lane or the jungle or the support role. They're actually not the same team at all. I have no idea what the hell is going on with Dignitas now that I think about it. So Renz is still the hunter. That's a good thing. Shadow Nightmare is still the mid. That's a very good thing. Shadow Nightmare is one of the... Shadow Nightmare and Aduro have a lot of parallels going between them. They were both on really shitty teams, but could both be depended on for a strong performance despite the win-loss record. Like, I feel you on that, Ependary. Shadow Nightmare, that kept, like, the Team Dignitas was 11-17. Oh, right, I actually did know that. And I think that it would have been a lot more loss heavy without Shadow Nightmare on the roster. So they picked up Sun Touch for support, Dark Dodo for solo. I actually knew that. I forgot about I still don't remember Jungle. But I think that is an improvement overall. Frezzy, I think that Frezzy and Sun Touch will prove to be similar until Sun Touch gets warmed up. Frezzy's problem was that he was always too aggressive. Frezzy's problem was that he was always quick to jump in and go to ham, I guess, which as a support isn't necessarily not on your list of things to do, but Frezzy always went a little bit too far, overcommitted. And Frezzy has left the game. He wants to focus on school and stuff like that. And so Sun Touch is going to come in. And for all the positions that Sun Touch has played, which I think we're still missing solo. If Sun Touch plays solo professionally, I get my bingo card. But Sun Touch in support has always been my preferred position for Sun Touch. I love the way he plays support. I think it works out. I think it's his best position. So I'm happy that Sun Touch has been picked up by Dignitas for support. I think that Sun Touch and Frezzy I think that stepping in, Sun Touch will be a side move, leaving Frezzy coming to Sun Touch, and I think that Sun Touch will just get better over time. So, huzzah! And in the solo lane, Dark Dodo. He didn't do well on Myrmidons, but how does anybody do well on Myrmidons? We'll see how he works with Dignitas. That's a big question mark for me. Again, I'm happy that Renz and Shadow Nightmare are staying around. So Sun Touch said he didn't play solo. I know that we've talked about this Epidary, but Sun Touch said he didn't play solo pro. So, I don't know. He played solo for SK. Let's see what Esportspedia has to say about that. Because like I said, Sunny says that he didn't play solo. And if we see here, I mean, I don't know. This isn't everything this isn't everything set in stone, but SK Gaming doesn't see. Oh wait, Sun Touch Jungle mid support solo. I guess he's just never played ADC. Is that it? Let's take a look at Sun Touch. Because I know that Sun Touch told me that he hasn't played every single role. That's what he told me. So he's played solo. I guess he hasn't played Hunter. But I don't know. Sun Touch is the one that defends that he hasn't played all 5 roles. And I'm generally going to take a man on his word. Why not? So I guess it's Hunter that Sun Touch hasn't played. I mean, I'm sure he's played it in some sort of capacity, but he has Potato Boys. Potato Boys! That's it. Sun Touch played Hunter for Potato Boys. You can't hide from me, Peter Logan. You played ADC. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Where's Kret? So, when we were running the Challenger Cup, when we were running the Challenger Cup, Challenger Cup last year was all me, Kret, Hindu Man, Moji, Cooper, and a couple of other admins. That was that was the Challenger squad. And I could not escape Kret saying Potato Boys. He never said the team name without saying it like that. That was the way Kret said Potato Boys. And it infuriated me. It just got me so... it really just grinded my gears. And I would sit there and just dude, Kret, so... just random conversation. I just hit him up and be like, yo, man, I'm mad bored. Kret, what do you think about the Challenger Cup this week? And he'd just be like, guess who's playing on EU? Potato! And then I just slap him across the face. Of course, he lived in Connecticut and I lived in New York at the time, so I couldn't do that all the time. But remember when 5i won Worlds? That's another throwback. 5i was the team that Durgius was on. Oof. Man. I enjoyed my time on the Challenger Cup. I'll talk a little bit about the Challenger Cup. We're almost done covering these European teams. Actually, we are done. Relegating teams are the two teams that we mentioned, Leftovers and Torpedo. We didn't talk about Torpedo. Torpedo can be a top team. Like, they can be a top team in Europe. They have the backbone of Murder, previously known as Kanye Life. And or I guess he's not the backbone because the rest of the team, they played together for so long. You've got Game Hunter, Ninja Bobat, Carino, and Moex. They're good. Remember Elo Fishers? Yeah, I remember the E-Fish. Who doesn't remember the E-Fish? I think you guys set a record for sucking. In any event, I think that Torpedo can be one of the top teams. Game Hunter, once upon a time, if you guys are newer to Smite, was one of the best solo laners in the world. And then he quit. He came back to the game and was kind of bad. Whether you chalk that up to lack of practice or being out of the meta, who knows what the situation was. This time around, he looks a lot better. Just more practice, etc. I think he's more into the game. So, Game Hunter looks strong. Is he numero uno? Is he back to his old form? I don't know if I'm saying that just yet. But Game Hunter definitely one of the players to watch out for. Ninja Bobat, I'm glad that he's here. Once upon a time, Ninja Bobat and Ninja Dimmy, I used to get them confused because they both had Ninja in their name. Recently, Dimmy changed his name from Ninja Dimmy to Dimmy because he said it was embarrassing introducing himself to Ninja Dimmy as Ninja Dimmy to people. I agree. Shouts to when I met Wiggles for the first time. The Xbox player. Hi, my name is Wiggles. He's Gustavi now. Carino is good enough, right? I've never touted Carino as being number one in Europe or anything, but he's definitely an SPL caliber player. And Moex is sort of the guy that could be insane. Moex is gifted, but he doesn't know the game super well. And sometimes he takes risks that aren't necessarily calculated. So I don't know. We'll see how Moex works. I think with Kanye Life, with Murder in his lane, I think that might be a stronger look. So I think that this roster can be number one. You guys are arguing about Risterian and Kujiman or Kujman in my fucking chat. Wow. All you need is Get Fisher, and you've got three washed up individuals. Oh, man. So going back, memory lane. Challenger Cup days. Me, Kret. So Moji ran production. I didn't want to do camera work. I am awful. If you've ever seen a tournament that I have had to do camera work, you probably didn't see much of the tournament because my camera was in Mozambique. But me, Kret, and Hindu Man were the announcers. Moji did camera work and production. And Cooper was our head admin, but we had a bunch of admins. And we had a ball. One of the things that we had going on was in Europe was that the games for Europe were broadcasted earlier than the games for North America because we wanted to cater to a European audience. And by earlier, I mean we went live at 7 in the morning. Now, when first period was at 7 in the morning, all I got to do is grab my notes, put them here, click go, and I'm ready to go. If you want to stream Challenger Cup, which I was doing it for a living, it was a big deal. It was my job, frankly, right? I was paid to run a Challenger League. I actually, Hi-Rez trusted me enough to recruit who I wanted. I probably didn't hire anybody, but I requested that I was joined by everybody I was joined with. So, for me, this was a big moment of responsibility. Didn't want to fuck it up. Didn't want to treat it silly. We had the green screen set up. Yeah, to sit and like, 'cause I don't use the green screen for streaming. I think it's lame. So every day I would set up the green screen. Which, if you guys are unfamiliar with my old setup, I used to live in New York, and I used to live in an attic. Now I have I'm still on a second floor apartment, but my room was specifically in an attic in New York. And so there was slanted walls and everything, and setting that shit up was not fun. Here, I actually have a picture from back in the day. So this humble beginnings 113 weeks ago. Holy shit. We've come a long way. It's been 2 years. Since this is way before the Challenger Cup. This is when I was doing weeklies for High Res. And this was the setup. They sent me the green screen and a couple of lights. And you see, like, the green screen is over here. They're held up by thumb. This is the push pin. This is the thumbtack. I just set this shit up. And so, like, if you guys don't know how green screen work, if there's a fold, it doesn't work out well. So I had to, like, pull this shit taut every morning at, like, 3:30 a.m. Like, 4 in the morning. Because we were live at, like, 6:30. And then, like, the stream would go up at 6:30 and we'd be live broadcasting at 7. And so every morning we would just sort of stumble in and, like, you know, I was the boss. I was the captain, so I had to be in better spirits. So I would wake up myself a little bit early, and I would show up with tons of coffee, and I would just sort of, like, you know, all right, everybody showed up and mumble, "Hey, Moji, how you doing?" And she'd just be like, "Shut up, I want a burrito." I'd be like, "What up, Cret? How you doing?" And he just, like, would not respond. In fact, that picture of Cret that we use for the Really banner, that's actually Cret wearing sunglasses because he has the light on and wants to wear sunglasses because it's like 5 a.m. So yeah, that was back in the day, Ron Jobbert. You want to see another? Since we're scrolled this far down, why don't we take a look at one of the first pictures me and Fats ever got together? I think this is that. I forget where this is. I was a lot skinnier then. My beard was a lot worse. My hair was a lot worse. But my body was a lot better. Fats, on the other hand, Fats looks like he's 12. Homie has aged like 17 years in this one. In like 2 years, Fats has gone a while back. Oh, and shouts to Jeff and Dare. But the Challenger Cup was one of my favorite times. Me and Moji still joke about it from time to time. I have a lot of fun. Why don't I have a piece of cardboard pinned to my wall? So that piece of cardboard that says "This Way Up" and the blinds, DJ Pernicus actually taught me how to work my blinds. I had my blinds facing down for the longest time. And you want to keep your blinds facing up so that when people look, they can't see down. They can't see the valuables that you keep on the floor, which is how DJ described it to me. So, do I think the Warriors are better than the 97 Bulls? I don't know. It's a tough one. The Warriors have a more complete game. Or the Bulls had a more complete game. The Warriors are based around three-pointers. The young X-Fats. Yeah, Jeff used to have long hair. You want me to? I will. I'm not the first one to show these, so I will show you one old picture of Jeff because I know that it's already out there. For the record, I wouldn't be the guy to show old Jeff for the first time, but as I said, because it's out there, I will show a picture of old Jeff. I'm trying to find the best picture of old Jeff I can find. If you haven't known by now, Jeff was a Long Island kid. So there are certain things Long Island kids do, and that is grow up and be scene kids. And Jeff was no exception. I was certainly a scene kid, and Jeff was certainly a scene kid. So you can't really avoid it. Here is Jeff looking just oh wait, what the hell? No, come on. Here's Jeff looking dreamy. I'll show you a dreamy picture of Jeff. Jeff looks very dreamy here. But the actual hilariousness of Jeff has to be, we got to find a more devastating picture of him. But it's just something that happens when you growing up on Long Island. You just become this person. You can't avoid not being this person. So we've all changed a little bit. It's only fair if I show myself from once upon a time. You guys cannot have the link. You guys can search and find the screen cap if you want. But you can't avoid being a little scene kid. That's just not something that happens living on Long Island. I had my fair share of interesting moments. I actually asked, because pictures of me don't exist. So just so you know, like I'm gonna sound old as fuck, but I was in high school from 04 to 07. iPhone came out in 06. So not everybody had a camera. So now everybody has a bazillion pictures and a bazillion thingamajiggers of themselves. I don't think many pictures of me exist from back in the day, but this is one of them. I'm obviously dressed up for something, but I have the hair, right? Like I have here it looks like I'm wearing a Darth Vader helmet, but this was the hair, the Taking Back Sunday, that hair. So am I losing my hair? I'm losing my my hairline at the very least. I never had a widow's peak. God damn. I'm getting self-conscious about my hairline. Holy shit. But anyway, we all change a little bit. You can't not be a scene kid living on Long Island, honestly. You can't. I mean, I was in all sorts of those. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know if pictures like that exist of me from like the age of, because like I was a young kid and my mom took tons of pictures, and then like I turned 14 and hated the world, just like every 14-year-old, and then like I just, those pictures of me just don't exist, which is ridiculous. They just don't. Even like if I click on my profile picture and I go to the oldest picture, it's me at prom. Like the oldest picture I have of me is myself at prom. I forget what prom that is. And then the next pictures are, yeah, I mean like look at these. It's just I don't exist between like 14 and 18. I just don't. This is me at some prom. This is my date. She's thrilled. She's thrilled that I wore my purple tux with her, whatever the fuck color this is. She's so happy she came to prom with me. And then here's me partying. I was in the band at this time. And then here's me on New Year's, right, with that Long Island douchebag beard going on. But I just don't have pictures of me between those areas. That is not Kelly. No, I did not know Kelly at that point. Not at all. Yo, hell yeah, that's the ill selfie. That's the ill selfie. Look at my hairdo. No, that's not a Four Loko. That was a Steel Reserve. Steel Reserve. So I don't know, man. What is this? What is this, Ron Jobbert? This Imgur link. Oh, is this our young hipster? Is this the young hipster Ron Jobbert wearing flannel since he was born? I'm pretty sure you came out of the womb wearing flannel and some sort of ironic headgear. Did I see the call by the Grizzly announcer? No, I didn't. If you could link me, I would love it. I would absolutely love it if you could link me. I wonder what I showed this. Actually, this is a really cool picture. Going back in the day. This was launch tournament. You can tell it's my room because it's my Givenchy Play cologne made famous by Justin Timberlake, and that's my sweat defense because I'm a sweaty pig. But Justin Timberlake, Givenchy Play, it's excellent. I actually have a little tiny version of it. It's really cool. Anyway, this is a launch tournament. This is Brandon and Dry Bear practice casting in my hotel room. Very, very cool stuff. This was very fun. This is one of the first times that I really did Smite stuff. So I was excited about it. Team Panda. I don't know what the hell that is. But yeah, this was Brandon and Dry Bear practice casting. And I remember like they were like, yeah, we're going to practice cast. And I was just so, so new to the idea of casting and everything that it was that I was so excited to really just be a part of it. Launch tournament days. This is me, Kelly, Lazes, and Chixie hanging out before. No, this was after. This was night. And this was Kelly. Obviously not my so many sexy people at this bar. This was Kelly's. I'm not that type of guy. This is my dog. My dog taking a nap. This is dog in bed, as I say. Dog in bed. Where are we? Here we go. This was the swag cave up in New York, man. I miss those days. This was New York. New York had a bunch of snow. New York had a whole bunch of snow. I went to San Francisco at some point. When I went to San Francisco, I didn't get a picture of it. But when I went to San Francisco, I got to I walked into the front office of the Warriors. Like I didn't have the hover hand. I will fight you, Dapper Coat. I will fight you, Dapper Coat. That is not the hover hand. Where we at? I'm on the couch. That is not a hover hand. Get the hell out. I'm not that guy. This is still cool to me. Seeing Smite on a bus. I'm hanging out the window of Nabil's car going like 60 miles an hour trying to get a picture of this. And so Smite logo on a bus. That's cool. Dry Bear didn't cast at launch. Dry Bear was on the analyst desk. No. Dry Bear casted at launch. Dry Bear was on the analyst desk at Worlds 20 at season 2 Worlds. Season 3 or at season 2 Worlds. Season 3 Worlds, Dry Bear was a designer, so he wasn't casting. Your skin is flannel. I believe that actually. Show us more dog. I miss my pooch. A lot, actually. So I showed you dog in bed. This is how my dog sits. This is Jamie. This is just how she sits down. This is just what she does. I kind of like that. She's a good dog. I think she's funny. Dry Bear did cast a Pentakill. This is my other dog. This is Bailey. She's basically liquid. Something to do with Ivan Ooze. This is one of the places I miss the most. Which is funny because it just looks like a shithole. And you know what? My ex-girlfriend lives near here. It is kind of a shithole. But on the other side of the camera, there's an awesome halal cart. And this is why I miss New York the most, honestly, is halal food. It's chicken and lamb over rice with sauce on it. It's nothing outlandish, but it's fantastic. This is my buddy Kyle's dog. He's Regal. She's Regal. This is Annabelle. Annabelle and Isabel were sisters that got split up. Here it is. Yes, I walked into the Warriors front office, and when I walked into the Warriors front office when I was in San Francisco. So I got a picture of it. I rang the buzzer. That's not 53rd. That's Little Neck. That's Little Neck Parkway and Hillside Ave. That is, if you don't want to make it all the way, because I'm from Long Island, Queens. If you don't want to make it all the way into the city, you go to Little Neck and Hillside. Some people might tell you to go on the Hillside and Home Lawn Ave, which is decent. But Little Neck and Hillside, right down the block from my house, basically, like a 5-minute drive, and bomb stuff. Red or white sauce on the halal? You got to have both, Dapper Coat. I actually explained this because every time we go to New York, this is 53rd and 6th. Every time we go to New York, I force whoever is there to eat at this food cart. You've probably heard me talk about it. If not, where the hell have you been? It's, like I said, it's just chicken and lamb over rice. White sauce is not quite tzatziki sauce like you get on gyros. It's tastier. And then the hot sauce is the hottest hot sauce you've ever had in your life. I've brought Sean Charles there. I've brought Bart there. I've brought Kelly there. I've brought a couple of my friends that, from the industry that you might not know. But in any event, I'm always like, look, I don't care if you're rich, if you're famous, if you're this or you're that. We're going to eat at this food cart, and that's that. And when you go, I always say you got to put too much white sauce. Put white sauce on and then put more than you think you do. And then the hot sauce you got to be careful with. But Yo, if you live in Bayside, then you got to go to Little Neck and Hillside. I'm telling you. It's a 10, 15-minute drive from Bayside. I used to work in the Lake Success Shopping Center. So, am I taking chat there? Yes. Next time I go to New York, if you guys live in New York, we will have a meetup at 53rd and 6th. I put my money on that. I will have a fan meetup at 53rd and 6th next time I go to New York if you guys are around. So that is definitely my thing. So white sauce or hot sauce, you need both. You need both for sure. 53rd and 6th is the like mecca of that sort of food. And then like I said, if you're closer in Queens, Hillside and Little Neck is your number one. And you got to go to the one in front of the CVS. There's one on each freaking corner. The one in front of Pizza Hut, their meat's kind of weird. And the one across the street in front of the halal market is the same guy in front of Pizza Hut. You got to go to the CVS guy. You don't like spicy stuff, Kirsch? The white sauce will do you just fine. SPL is starting in about, not this week, but the next week. So we'll be able to get some of that SPL action going on very soon. Already talked about the Oceanic League. Not really. So we have not. Actually, I haven't jumped into any of the Oceanic League stuff just yet. I usually follow it during the regular season, so once things start going off, I will be paying a little bit more attention, and you'll be able to get your information on the Oceanic League here. I'll be following the league closely, and I'll be hanging out with my man Husey. So, is it spicy to Indian peoples? Yes, it is. So the food that I'm talking about is Middle Eastern. It's Pakistani, if I'm correct, but I'm not sure. When is really coming back? Hopefully soon. Kret had to adjust to new work, which last time when I got hired for High Res, I abandoned my friends in WoW. I was playing WoW with my buddy Yate, Kret, Wolfie, and a whole bunch of other people, and they will never miss an opportunity to tell you that I abandoned them. But realistically, I moved to a new state across the country and had to adjust to the hours of a new job. So I could not take the responsibility of running a guild. Same thing happened to Kret with Really. He moved across the country for a new job and he's adjusted to the hours, so he couldn't do Really at the beginning. But as the season starts, I think we should see a return to Really. Recently, we've been looking. Recently, it's been on me. I've been very busy. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up for Season 3. I've been told I'm not allowed to spoil it, but both esports and non-esports, I'm hyper excited about things that I can't talk about, but we will talk a lot in the future about them, so I'm amped, and I've been working on them tirelessly, so a little bit of that is on me as well. But as the season starts, Really will make a return. Kret will be back talking Smite. He still follows the game, but he works on Paladins. So we'll see how that works. Does Kret still play Smite? Yes. Sparingly. He does work like 8 million hours a day. How do you sign up for the Xbox qualifiers on Sunday? So if you go to esports.smitegame.com, let's go with me. If you go to esports.smitegame.com, click on console qualifiers, click on check-in info. You got all the info that you could possibly want. Signups and check-ins for the Smite Console League qualifiers will be handled in Discord. So basically, just show up. Show up. If you're in Europe, you want to show up at 2 p.m. CET. You got an hour to sign up. If you're in North America, you got to show up at 10 a.m. You got an hour to sign up. Show up in this Discord. I'll put the link in chat. Show up in this Discord. You can download it by Googling Discord. And then you basically just show up and you say, hey, I want to play. I'm the captain of Team Who Gives a Shit. And then Cooper goes, okay, sounds good. We'll see you then. And like that's the whole situation. So what do I think sets Smite apart from other esports? That's a loaded question. As far as gameplay is concerned, I think Smite sets itself apart from other MOBAs by the obvious, the camera angle and the lack of auto-aim. As far as non-gameplay stuff, I think it's our attitude or our disposition, which I like. Smite is professional, yet fun. And I think that there are leagues that are more professional than us, but we are definitely far from the bottom of professionalism. And as long as I'm on the team, we're going to show up in suits. We're not going to swear on stream. That we're going to be a little bit professional. I am the defender of professionalism. I like that professional vibe. I like to be in the suit. I like that sort of stuff. I carefully choose the words we say and we don't say. I like to shape what storylines we celebrate and what storylines we don't. I don't really, I don't think we have, I'd rather be professional and not mention your girlfriend breaking up with you on a broadcast, right? I think that's silly and I think that's nonsense. But at the same time, we're far from the top of straight, stuffy, hello and welcome to the league. Wow, what a good play, Bob. Yes, that was an excellent play, John. Back to the game. I think we do have some fun, which is our calling card. We have fun while maintaining some sort of professional decorum. And I know there's like 8 million people out there that go, High Rise is so unprofessional. But I don't think that's true. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that anybody realistically thinks that's true. There's definitely less professional broadcasts you can find, and there's more professional broadcasts you can find. And I think that operating in that happy medium is something that sets Smite apart and something that I really thoroughly enjoy, actually. You want Smite to have a Thorin? I think you have it with DM Brandon and Adonis, honestly. I think Brandon is our Thorin, right? I think if Brandon put up Thorin's thoughts every once in a while, he would easily be not even our Thorin, but just a big pundit. I think that Brandon has a future beyond Smite, honestly. Do you need to have an Dr. Joe? So, Dr. Jose, I'm going to call you Dr. Jose because I think it's funny. Dr. Jose references, we did the Xbox Combine, right? And the way the Xbox Combine was handled was... you showed up and Tier Monster just put you on a team randomly. And so this guy got put on a team and they're inviting. And it's 5 on one side, 4 on the other. And they're like, dude, we just can't invite Dragon Slayer 69. Why can't we invite Dragon Slayer 69? I don't know. Try closing your game. Try opening it up again. Try restarting everything. Is everything plugged in? Is it on? And then the kid goes, hey guys, do I have to be on Xbox? I don't have an Xbox, but I'm on PC. Is that part of the problem? Dog. Like, are you serious? What world does that make sense? What world does that make sense? That's like me showing up. All right, guys, I got a bunch of Magic cards. You guys ready to play Warhammer? That's like me showing up with a baseball bat and a baseball mitt like, who's ready for some volleyball, motherfucker? Like, what are you doing? I don't understand. I don't understand. Wow, Ernie, I appreciate that. I look up to a lot. I look up to the League of Legends casters a lot. I think they do a very good job. That's a great compliment. I do think that the commentary has come a long way. I think that season 3 will be our best year yet, but I think that it'll be noticeably, I think there will be a noticeable improvement. I actually ask you guys candidly and honestly, and especially the people in chat. We've got 446 people in chat. There's got to be some people that don't like me, but I ask you candidly and honestly, if you think commentary was better during relegations this year than it has been in the past, because as I said, there's a lot of attention being paid, and there always has been, but there's a new feeling in the commentary staff. I can't really explain it, but there's just more of a feeling of camaraderie and team, and we're all like, we're closer, I would say, honestly. So now me, Adonis, and Hinduman all share an office. DM and Ally don't come in on the day-to-day, but we share an office, so we're able to like talk and spit, and that's fun. That's fun. And as a whole, I think we've gotten closer, which makes us a little bit better. Yeah, Masterful Shot's a little annoying, Lil Vila. For what it's worth, I don't have a problem with Neath Ultimate, blah, blah, blah. Masterful Shot's annoying. Wouldn't bring back skins in the SPL, help the fun high-res image. So I'm actually... this might change. Who knows? We have been having the conversation, reassessing this conversation about skins in the SPL. I still don't like skins in the SPL. I don't think there's anything added by having skins in the SPL. Cool, Poseidon looks like a duck. That's funny is nice for the guy that gets it, but it doesn't offer him anything better. Whereas the guy that doesn't get it, wait, how is that? Is that Poseidon? Like, that hurts him. So I think it's nothing gained, stuff lost. But that's just my 2 cents. I'll have to take a look at him. So I don't know. I don't know if skins are a part of that, but fuck telling the difference between a Zhang Kui Golden and a Kumbhakarna Golden. It's not fun. That's not fun at all. It's not fun at all. It's not what I like. Thorn is a pundit that works primarily on Counter-Strike. He's known best for Counter-Strike, but he dabbles in LCS a little bit. He's just an esports pundit. He's very good at what he does. He's been doing it for a long time. He calls himself the esports historian, and he's one of my favorite people in esports. Here he is. Thorn, the esports historian. He writes a lot. He doesn't write for ESPN, though. He writes a lot, and he does a lot of this type of deal. Nope, that's not it. He does a lot of YouTube content where he sort of like this, just talk content. So but Thorn is known most for being harsh and unforgiving by way of analysis and objective criticism. So one of my favorite Thorn moments is he was talking about a French team in Counter-Strike, and he was like, "This is the French," and like slams a baguette against the analyst desk. It was out of this world. But so I have been doing some interviews. at Ependary. We started recently with the enemy changes. I did some interviews with the guys that own Enemy and the guys that had left Enemy. So here's my interview with Mask and Drelo, and here's my interview with the owners of Enemy. So I did a couple of interviews. They weren't one-on-one interviews. They were one-on-two interviews, but, getting into the idea of interviews. And I'll also be releasing throughout the week more videos as far as just like, hey, here's my hot take on whatever the fuck just happened, so we don't have to wait for first period. First period will, of course, keep going on, but I think I'm going to dabble a little bit more in the world of the hot take on YouTube esports as well. Smite is FCG and MOBA commentating in a package. I guess so. Especially with Adonis. Especially with Allied on the cast. Yeah, Adonis is more like Thorin. Recently, yeah, Thorin has been very, very pretty gnarly lately. Dude, that is like El Chapo not knowing Twitter was connected to Smite. Yeah, I mean, and Best Ymir, that's just a part of the scene being very young, talking about the casting from the Oceania Leagues to North America and Europe. And I mean, it's one of those things where, like, it's just a result of the scene. Like, I get paid to be a commentator now, which means, like, that's my job, which means that, when I come home from work, like, I can spend time practicing my casting, or I can spend money on buying books, getting better at casting. When you work a full-time job or a part-time job and go to school or whatever the hell, if you have other obligations and then you're casting on the side, you have to dedicate your time to your other obligations. So it's really tough for me to, like, draw a comparison between a scene that's largely done by volunteers and a scene that makes money. Simply because I remember what it was like to balance a job at Verizon, a horrible girlfriend, and trying to cast while trying to stream and trying to get better at being a Verizon salesman was more important to me, or more important to my livelihood than becoming a better caster. And spending time with my terrible girlfriend was more important to me, or more important at the time, to be a better caster. And, like, that was just, your priorities are different. So I can't really, like, compare casting from Oceanic to North America because there's money incentive. But you've got my man Husey, which, if you ask anybody, Husey is an SPL caster. Husey is an SPL quality caster, without a doubt. He is one of the best amateur casters out there. So sounds good, Dr. Jose. I got you. Talking about the Xbox guy. That's funny. Yo, thank you, Deathy Inside. I appreciate that. I don't think removing Bart improves casting. Bart is a lot of fun. Bart really accomplished the laid back style of casting where I feel like a lot of people try, myself included, to sound conversational and sound like that guy you can sit on the couch with while watching the game. And for what it's worth, I definitely do have more of a professional tinge to my voice than Bart did, and that's by design. I like to be a little more classic. Bart likes to be a little bit more progressive. But I think that Bart nailed the casual, I'm your bro while talking about this game. P.S. I happen to be a pro commentator. He nailed that the best. I think that, sometimes Bart went a little more casual than I personally would, but I think it always fit the broadcast for the most part. And Bart just had a very unique style that's hard to emulate. So I don't think that casting got better because Bart's gone, but without Bart being the big boy on campus, I mean, it's hard to explain. Like, we all worked and we were all equals. I wouldn't say that I looked up to Bart in certain aspects, but when it came to the job, I looked up to Bart and respected his experience and his opinions and his expertise, but I never felt like, in the shadow of Mr. Bart, you're so much bigger and cooler than us. But there definitely was he was the guy, he was the face of Smite. So I think with him off the field, with no real face of Smite to really look at, all of us have just sort of like megazorded together, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. DM and Ally casting together is fun. Yeah. And Brandon and I are having a lot of fun casting. It's funny. I really enjoy it. Brandon and I were not enemies, but never best friends, right? Like, he drove me to PAX. He's a wonderful dude. Definitely, we've always been co-workers, just nice co-workers. And recently I think that we've grown a little bit closer, whether it's due to the fact that we gotta, everybody's got to step up a little bit by way of commentating, and he's sort of him and Bart were sort of the big dudes in Smite, and the rest of us were, as I said, not below them, but maybe underneath an umbrella. Everybody else had to sort of step up and assume a little bit more responsibility. And I think hopefully he sort of respected that or whatnot. But either way, we've grown a little closer. And because of that, as I always say, the commentary has improved because of that. Also, not for nothing, I've drastically improved. Everybody's always improving, so maybe we're just getting better haphazardly. But Brandon and I have become a little bit closer. We're not exactly, Brandon's an insular dude. We're not exactly kumbayaing together every Friday night and going bowling. Brandon does his thing, but we're definitely more close in the studio, and I think that leads to a better overall commentary experience. So I think Adonis needs to calm down a bit. Adonis has been rather harsh lately. For what it's worth, I know that he was making a point during relegations to be a little bit more into it, or cutthroat, I should say, but I actually like opinionated Adonis, and I think that's a good move. I think it's a good move in general for our commentary staff. I know that he roasted you personally, Get Fisher, and maybe you deserved a little roasting, but jokes aside, I do think that a more opinionated commentary staff is a better commentary staff. One of the issues that I had last year, one of my stylistic choices that I have deviated from moving into season 3 is moving more towards an opinionated cast. For my first season in the SPL, I wanted to be sort of a straight man, the guy with opinions, but they were veiled and a little bit hidden, just so I could be an MC, an objective guy for, DM and Bart to really bounce off of, or whoever I was casting with. Because this whole first period, what I really do, this was in the past. I did this before I got hired from Hi-Rez, and I was known by the 12 people that knew me as being an educated, opinionated motherfucker. And when it came to Hi-Rez hiring me, nobody knew who I was, and I didn't want to put people in the wrong camp, going oh, this guy sucks, he's just a big loudmouth with a bunch of bad opinions. So I kind of dialed down my opinions. Now, moving into the new season, people know who I am. I can dial up my opinions, and they can sort of oh, well, for what it's worth, a lot of people think I don't know the game, but hopefully I have a little bit more backing, and that number of people is relatively low compared to last year, so that there's some sort of believability behind my opinion, so I can be a little bit more opinionated. I'm not saying that I'm going to go on a soapbox and on a crusade every single broadcast, and honestly, it's one of these things that I make it sound like a big change because it's a big change internally, but externally it'll probably be smaller, but I'm definitely excited to be a little bit more opinionated, and I think that the commentary staff as a whole, works out better. than that. Thanks, Cleto. Yeah, I think that we're in general just doing it. So thanks, Pepper. I appreciate that. Yeah, the commentary during relegations is more exactly. This is sort of the goal of commentary in a nutshell. There are many different ways to commentate, and that's why when people... You can be wrong about commentary, flat out. If you come up to me and say, casters are casters, they're not analysts, and you shouldn't give your opinion, you're wrong. Sorry. If you're saying that commentary should be harshly divided, that's closer to the line, but you're wrong. Sorry. If you're saying that, casting should be done X, Y, Z, and there's a formula to it, you're wrong. Sorry. But my personal feeling... I like commentary like Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Breen. I like commentary like D1 for the more esports-oriented people. He's a Smash Brothers caster. I like commentary that makes it sound like there are two guys on the couch and I just happen to have gotten up to get a beer and I'm coming right back to the conversation. The goal in my eyes as a commentator is to talk about what's on the screen in a way that is approachable, familiar, and not foreign. Because at the end of the day, I have to explain what's going on the screen. And when it comes to esports, a lot of players already understand it. I'm not necessarily talking to them, but my job is to explain what's going on the screen. And I would much rather it sound like your bro teaching you football than Professor Pecky's teaching you with a like chalkboard. You know what I'm saying? Just having that conversation like we're having right now is a more enjoyable broadcast. And so this, exactly the feel. I don't want to cast like this, not wearing pants, going, what the fuck is this dude doing? But at the same time, I do want that colloquial feel. So that the balance between like personal and conversational and professional is definitely a move we want to move towards, for sure. A bit too often off topic. So actually, relegation is probably where you're going to see more off topic conversation than not. Because frankly, when a team is getting beat by 20,000 gold, it does nobody a favor for me to go, so, Allied, this team is down 18,000 gold. They've lost 7 Fire Giant fights, and this guy bought an Anshile. How do they win the game? Oh, no, after all, they hit a couple of dank Krakens and Ming Lee. Like, that doesn't do anybody any favors. When you're watching a blowout, you don't want to commentate the blowout. Like, if the kill chart reads 40-5, and the team with 5 kills walks into a 5v3 situation, I'm probably not casting that team fight. I'm probably going, this team with 5 kills just keeps having issues. Let's talk about something else. And as that team fight's going on, I will continue speaking and then say, and after a team fight, Team B winds up ahead 47-5. Like, I'm not going to cast that team fight because it's like kicking a dog while they're down, right? Like, I don't know. Get Fisher jumps into 2 people in the mid lane or by mid harpies. You mentioned that. That's ridiculous. That sucks. Sorry, Fisher. He does it again. You mention it again. Now, he didn't do this for what it's worth. A little credit to Get Fisher. But the 4th or 5th time a player jumps to his doom, you're not going to commentate that because you're kicking the horse while it's already down. You mention it and move on. So, like, yes, off topic per se, but 1, we tried to keep the off topic revolved around Smite, and 2, when we did go off, it was kind of enjoyable in my opinion. And again, like, we go off topic so that we don't like harp on negatives because that's not a good look. So, I don't know. It's not a good look. Exactly. I can't watch League of Legends because of the skins. I have a hard time to figure it out. Brandon is RIP. What? No, Brandon's not RIP. Brandon's still a caster. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, no. Brandon's still very much a caster. I hope I didn't say anything that makes you think that. Would tier 2s and recolors be an option? Like I said, the conversation has been started. I personally don't like any skins, and mastery skins the least because they're hard to discern from another. Watching a team full of golden creatures, good luck trying to figure out in 0.1 seconds what to say. It's just not going to work. Yeah, sure, Hayom. The best book I can give you on casting is The Art of Sports Casting. This book is recommended by many pros, and it's, you know, if you consider me a pro, I'm doing it as well. This is I own a couple of copies, honestly. Where'd my book go? Where'd my book go? Oh, here it is. I have a copy at work and I have a copy here, and like I have notes throughout. I've got pages marked there. It's basically just a collection of previous of pros, and you can see from the cover. You can see from the cover actually that there's like, you know, they show like a somebody's spot chart. I've got notes and stuff in here. And this is a very, very good book. It's basically a history on from people. So like, you know, radio play-by-play. It just says who is this? Who is this speaking? This is Bill King, one of the commentators for a. Oh no, this is Larry Zimmer of the Denver Broncos, and he says on pacing, you never know what play is going to turn the game, and any play can make a difference, even in the first quarter. Translate to Smite, the beginning. But you still have to let the game come to you. Have enthusiasm, yes, but avoid getting out of hand with it early. Make sure you have somewhere to go. This is a key point. Another level to jump to in the third and fourth quarters when the game is really on the line. That was a big point for me. It's a very easy mistake to make, and I used to do this all the time, of just being excited all the fucking time. That's not where you want to be at a mid-Harpy fight at 7 minutes, because where are you going to be at the game-deciding Fire Giant fight? Like, and that's silly. So, taking a note like that, you know, I was able to change up my commentary. Definitely a must-have book if you are at all interested in commentary. Get it. Tom Hedrick, The Art of Sportscasting. Absolutely necessary in your library if you are at all interested. So, we'll see. We'll see. Thorn is pretty awesome, Bonnie. I agree. What is that new esport event coming up? DreamHack. Is that what you're talking about? DreamHack is one of the biggest LAN events. It is the biggest LAN in the world, if I'm not mistaken. It takes place in Jönköping, Sweden. And we will be there. For those of you that like are kind of new, because I had somebody ask me last time, DreamHack is a prestigious stage. We've seen multiple esports wind up there, Counter-Strike, etc. It's a big deal to be on the DreamHack stage. So it's not just Smite at somebody else's LAN, so to speak. DreamHack is a big deal, and hopefully we will get bazillions of viewers because of it. I'm really excited, and I think it will actually help Smite grow a lot because we're going to kill it. Also, I'm going to Sweden! I heard the girls there are pretty. I'm excited. Would the new generation of mastery skins make it easier? Yeah, it would. You're right. You're totally right. Didn't think about that. Still annoying. I think it's not that bad. Imagine if Thorin streamed his book. Yeah, that would be rough. Thorin called Shaquille O'Neal fat. I guess that's why he doesn't wear free. No, I don't know. I'm just kidding. Wow. Yeah, that's off topic, but yeah, Whiplash was a good movie. Yeah, exactly. So, Savage Meat, for what it's worth, I will say that, you know, even if skins are allowed in the SPL, that it wouldn't be all skins, right? There would be anything that has a competitive advantage would be taken out for sure. So, reflections about the past, current, future. Oh, I see what you're saying. So, rather than interviews about individual situations, more like broad picture, big picture interviews. That could be fun. Now that Smite has really come to a point where it's a more established scene. You know what? That's a good thought, Ependary. Maybe I can give you background on players in general rather than, like I said, I interviewed the enemy guys after an enemy situation. And I'll continue to do that when players leave teams or whatnot. I'll encourage people to come on either first period or you know, at a different time to really talk about their side of everything. But doing wide scoping interviews sounds actually kind of fun, and I'm looking for more content. So, big interviews. I'm looking for more content this year. So if you guys have any suggestions on stuff that you want to see like that, hit me up, and I would love to, you know, at least entertain the idea. How come Ally does his own thing? on people's names. I mean, that's sort of like Allied's thing. We all have a style, and that's Allied's thing. You know, he's going to say dank memes. He's going to say Ming Lee and Dan's game in chat. He's going to say Polar Bear Michael, you know, and that's his style. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I actually really like it. I would sound really dumb if I came out and said, you know, Concern Dog, how's everybody doing? Hey guys, Dan's game, sour please. But like Allied can do it. That's his world, and it sounds better. So, do I like Logic? I like Logic. I don't dislike him. He's not my favorite. Logic actually tweeted yesterday that he wants to start a gaming channel. He's streamed a couple of times. I watched him stream Destiny once upon a time, and then he tweeted at Nadeshot saying, you know, sometimes I think about starting a vlog or a gaming vlog YouTube channel, and tweeted at Nadeshot. So, who knows? I think we got to get Logic playing Smite. What about you? What up, Lydia? How you doing, girl? Hard to you for sure. Chrysalis brings up a point. Adonis isn't savage. So, I think that what Adonis does is fair, balanced, based in fact, completely fine, and savage. I don't think there's anything wrong with being ruthless and brutal. Patch notes with Bart. Hindu Man's doing what he can. Hindu Man's rocking the patch notes. I like Hindu Man's patch notes. Can we expect to see more of a monetary investment in SPL outside of NA and EU? I mean, that's a long way away. That's a long ways away, I would say. Hi-Rez does, I believe they're involved in the Oceanic prize pool, but I'm not certain last year or this year. But it's unrealistic to think that Hi-Rez can sponsor 5 separate leagues rather than, you know, 2. So, I don't know. This is probably further along down the line than we'd like. I just listen. So, yeah, I mean, this is definitely, that's definitely one of the goals when it comes to commentary most of the time. There is a difference between radio casting and TV casting. So you do have to keep that in mind, right? Like if we were casting Smite for the radio, we'd be a lot more detailed. A lot of times I don't have to mention where Snoopy is because you know he's going to be in the solo lane. Although maybe this year that needs a little readjustment. But, you know, Barracuda getting his farm on, I don't have to mention that he's in the dual lane necessarily, etc., etc. So, no, I mean, like I said, Adonis hasn't casted since before Super Regionals. Think about that. The last time Adonis had casted before relegations was before Super Regionals because Kevin was on the analyst desk both Super Regionals and Worlds. So it had been multiple months. So basically, Kevin was just trying to get back in the swing of things and then being a little bit more extravagant during relegations. And I think it was I think it was a good move for him because then he can, one, judge how people enjoy him being overly critical or as critical as he was, and two, you know, make a step back if that's what he wants to do. I think Adonis in general improved a lot, especially when you consider he hadn't casted a game in like 6 months. So I don't know what you mean by minor shit. So I don't know. Why aren't Yeah. That's a big point. That's a big point. Is that a lot of these players sort of have to grow up real quick. And that's, you know, that's rough. I've gotten on my soapbox on this show before and said, grow up! But, you know, that's rough. Current D1 makes you kind of sad. Did you see his video from the Foundry last week? D1 got a little drunk and, you know, spit some realness on the crew. And realistically, esports, D1 or nah, D1's my guy. I love that dude. I really, really, really like D1. He's one of my favorite people in esports that I don't see on a regular basis. You know, outside of like the whole Smite world, D1 is one of my favorite people in esports. I like his commentary now. There was a period of time that I didn't like D1's commentary. I loved it in the past and I love it now. And during that period of time where he like was trying to, you know, popularize Smash and all this stuff, I felt like he went a little too far on the esports professionalism side, whatever the hell you want to call it. I feel like he's a little more comfortable now. And, you know, we've all done that. I have definitely done that. And I think that he's in a very, very good spot right now. So I'm actually really, really happy about that. I'm glad. It's all good. Is matchmaking and relegations random? No. So if you're asking, I get what you're asking. The SPL teams were allowed to, what's it called? Pick their teams that they played up against. Who's my favorite person to cast with? At this point, I think it's Brandon. We just have good conversations because Brandon and I both spend we're both super passionate about the game, and we wind up putting our efforts into different aspects of the game. Like Brandon is constantly trying to break the game and find the new builds and push the boundaries while paying attention to the other side of the scene, like the person side of the scene. And then I sink all of my time into the person side of the scene. I want to see how Zapman interacts with Aurora on and off the court. I want to see, what this change on this team will be while paying attention to the numbers. And because we're both wildly passionate about the game, but our focus is on different aspects, we get one side and the other side, and it winds up, I think we have a really good look. And because we also we spend so much time thinking, and everybody does, but we spend so much time thinking about the things that we think about in respect to the game, we are able to have these conversations, which aren't always, I bring up a point, I agree, sir, let's keep going. Sometimes we disagree, and that's fun because it's not this hot-headed disagreement. It's do you really think that God is viable? Yeah, I think that God is viable. Here's why. And, well, you know what? You got a point, but you ever think about it? We actually have those conversations, and they're not forced. I think that's a lot of fun. I absolutely enjoy casting with Brandon. When I cast, you can tell my influence is pro sports. Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly, for sure. I mean, I grew up watching pro sports, and I'll never miss an opportunity to bring up Mike Breen. I think he's fantastic, and that's one of my biggest influences. And for what it's worth, I have watched a lot of hockey, which I don't normally watch because hockey is a very similar sport in comparison to Smite. I put sport in quotes because Smite's not a sport. But I also listen to a bunch of esport commentators. I like to listen to what the League of Legends guys bring to the table. I love what they do in Counter-Strike, but Counter-Strike is very different. Blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know. It's I go in between. I like to have a whole view. But yeah, DM having more of a casting commentate style is excellent because he's the chair too. And so he has that that's why Brandon and I work well together as well, is because I have that sort of theatrical, for lack of a better term, chair one. Let me introduce you to the game and show you what's going on. And Brandon has that very matter of fact, let me explain to you why this item choice is good. So I like that. Owning 3 copies. I only own 2, one for home and one for work, but it does make me twice as good, obviously. Very true. Very true. What up, Dreamed? How's it going? Will Envy get the Marv Albert? Will Envy get the fire giant? Got the look. Yes, puts it in. That'd be pretty funny. I knew I butchered the name. Jopaking. I can't say it correctly. I can say Joaquin. That's Zero's name. Joaquin. But we'll see. You get to play rugby. So to get better at rugby, you watch rugby matches. To get better at casting, do you watch or listen to sports matches? Yes and no. A lot of MOBAs exist in this special world where there is, like I said, it's similar to football, like soccer, or hockey in the sense that it's high action, and the commentary that you want to do outside of the high action still has to be high action, or at least anticipating high action very soon. So, yes and no. I don't exactly listen to baseball commentary to get better at Smite casting, but I do listen to baseball commentary. I listen to commentary to learn other tips and tricks. Restating the game is something very important. It's a tenement of commentary. Not everybody's sitting at the computer for the whole game. Not everybody tuned in at the same time at the beginning. So it's very important to restate the game. In basketball, in televised basketball, it's generally a 5-minute rule. Every 5 minutes, you restate the score and the time, right? On radio, it's a little bit less than that. You're looking at like 2 minutes. At baseball, you're looking at a couple of batters, right? But in either way, whoever is commentating whatever game is going to restate the game. I try to restate the game every 7 minutes or after every objective. So you'll hear me every 7 minutes. I try to hit, Team A is leading Team B, and it's a restatement. So you say Team A is leading by Team B by X. Their kills are this much, and the reason that happened was because of these major events. So, Team Flex is beating Problem Solved by 10,000 gold. Really, it's all just been 2 team fights and a gold fury, and Team Flex is poised to make their lead. Blah, 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 blah. So, I try to do that every 7 minutes or when a gold fury is taken or whatnot. So, that's, for example, that's a tip that I got from books, but also just watching commentary. A lot of times I'll watch commentary and, if I'm critical of the commentator, I think of that in myself. So if I sit there and I go, man, this guy just said the same word 4 times in a row. I did that on Saturday. Fuck. Okay. You know what I mean? So, yes, definitely. And, of course, I listen and watch myself. When we cast, I go back into the office on Monday, Tuesday. Okay, I show up on like a Wednesday. But I'll watch the games back and see how we can do. Hopefully. What's up, Avant-Garde? I'm glad you could make it. Probably, I'm 10 minutes late on this message, but hi, I'm glad that Avant-Garde is staying up late. It's good to see you guys. We'll be covering the Oceanic League a little more closely on first period this year. Hell yeah. So I'm excited for that. Follow them down for Bathtub. Now that sounds exciting if you're still talking about the Swedish girls. If you're talking about SPL players, I don't know about that. Yeah, I should talk to Oceans. Once the SPL starts, I think we can, I'll reach out to Oceans and see if he wants to come online and talk about that. What do I think about Geb? He's good. In a world where Athena's top pick, I think that Geb is very, very strong. Scotty 30 Questions is already out. I didn't know Scotty 30 Questions was already out. I think I'll play that as we leave. No, I won't. It's funny that you abbreviate his name to DMB because I always think Dave Matthews Bands. Thoughts on Gab? He's great against Athena. Do I miss Gandhi casting? Yes, I really do. So it's funny. I do miss Gandhi casting. Full disclosure, when Gandhi first started casting, I wasn't #1 fan of Gandhi, but I liked what he did. Gandhi made the game exciting, and you sort of learned along with Gandhi. And for what it's worth, for the people that said he didn't put the work in, you're high. I remember going down for relegations or regionals 2 years ago and seeing Gandhi just work his ass off in a corner with Pon trying to learn the game. Learned a lot, but one of the biggest things that I liked about Gandhi that I now have allied on the staff to do is he really gave that pro player insight. Sure, DM Brandon played competitively, but allied and Gandhi did so on a much bigger stage, and that's a lot different. So I was able to really ask, hey Gandhi, we're in game number 4. What are the players thinking right now? Because I have no fucking clue. I can study the game till the cows come home until I'm blue in the face. But the one thing I can never do is understand what it's like to be in a player's shoes. Gandhi can do that. So having him on the staff was awesome for that. Also, Gandhi's one of the coolest dudes in the fucking world. So it's very cool to have Gandhi just hanging out, laid back, relaxing, all cool. He's a fun guy and an important guy to have on the team. Anybody, I wouldn't believe you if somebody told me they worked with Gandhi and didn't like him. He is impossible to dislike. So I think that's one of the bigger things that that's one of the biggest things that it comes down to. Sometimes things sometimes you just miss things. Isis missing a red buff with a spirit ball and, when he really didn't. The game happens really fast. And when you're talking about it, you don't get all of the things that you do when you don't talk about it. So, will I cast Xbox games? Most likely, yes. We'll see. Please interview Oceans. We'll see. Like I said, once the season gets underway, I don't want to fuck with him while he's starting a season. But once the season gets underway, maybe week 1, week 2, I'll reach out to Oceans, and I can't force him, but it'd be awesome to talk to him. Do I have a favorite team? Favorite as far as a team that I root for? No. Favorite as far as a team that I'm interested in? Yes. Eager. I want to see how well this team does. I think that Eager has a chance to be #1, but it relies on a lot of variables. How well does the team communicate? How strong can they be together? Can they figure out their faults and get better from them? I think there's a lot of conversation there, and we'll see how that works out. Dan Highland, yo, thank you so much. I'm glad that you still watch Smite, even though you're an FGC guy. I'm kind of the same way. I'm mainly focused on Smite, but I love to check the FGC. I like to catch my Capcom Cup, and I click on anything with Smash, honestly. Hell yeah, I appreciate that, Dan Hyler. That's all I can do as a commentator. If it brings people to my game, I'm doing my job. So I'm very exciting. I'm very excited as far as that's concerned. D1 and the moves he made for Smash. Yeah, you can have an opinion on D1's commentary. Commentary is largely opinion based. My opinion is the right one, and he's good. But you can't have an opinion on what D1 has done for the Smash scene. D1 has. Smash Brothers Smite has never been in a position like Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers was in a position where all the tournaments were done grassroots by people that are just fans. They put on their own tournaments. Hi-Rez has done launch tournament from the time the game came out, and they were paying out weeklies before that. So Smite has never been grassroots the way Smash was. D1 literally took people out of basements and put them onto stages. That is excellent. I'm a big part of that. What's my opinion on the Melo situation? I think that I would like Melo to stay in New York. I think that Melo has a future in New York, and I think that with the Zen Master at the helm of basketball operations, I think that this team can win a championship in the next 3 to 5 years, and that's pushing it. I think they can win maybe next year or the year after with the right guards, but I would not be surprised if Melo moved to the Clippers for what it's worth. Melo has spoken about staying in New York and wanting to stay in New York. And I think that's all well and good, but I think realistically we might see him in LA in a Clippers uniform, unfortunately. Not my favorite, but we'll see. Has anybody ever tried Warrior Tabi, Aussie, Frostbound, Fatalis, Deathbringer, Rage, Thanatos build? Hopefully not. Basic attack Thanatos is not very strong. Thanatos really gets his damage by way of the base damage on his abilities, so you want to build CDR. And then late game, he's not about damage at all. He's really just about utilizing the execute. You want to pick Thanatos into Khepri most of the time, or at least Thor. He's a great anti-Thor character. So early game, he's sort of like Chalk, where nobody can really fuck with him. He's going to beat you no matter who you are. But late game, he doesn't do that at all. He's not built to kill you. He's built to kill you, not to get you into killing range, which is an odd statement. So basically, building that cooldown reduction early game allows you to get more Death Scythe and Soul Reaps out, which is where you're doing the most damage. You'll weave in some basic attacks, but it's really all about maximizing the amount of Death Scythes you can spit out during the early game. And then late game, you just want to ult on cooldown, and the damage that you built earlier isn't actually going to help you any. So despite the fact that Thanatos scales at 60% on all of his abilities outside of execute, you don't want to build power, because that power is going to be irrelevant, because to actually dish out that damage late game, you're going to have to put yourself in a precarious situation. Whereas if you just build cooldown reduction and tanky, you can actually do what Thanatos does: silence from a distance, use the execute to take out players that have a Khepri ultimate or otherwise hard to kill, like a Hercules or whatnot. Watch out for the heal to take you out of execute threshold. So not my favorite build for Thanatos at all. What do I think about 2GD? I liked James. I know him. I don't know him, but I know his work a little bit. I'm not super big into the Dota scene. I liked what he had to do with the Shanghai major. I liked the whiteboard. I loved all that stuff. He seemed very prepared. Probably didn't need to open up the show with a story about midget porn in a country where porn is illegal. So while he was supposed to be himself, that was probably pushing the line a little bit too much. Am I going to get my own announcer pack? I plead the fifth. I tried the Thanatos build on cat level 10. Sounds about right. Jun Kuping. The O with the umlaut sound in Sweden is pronounced like the A heard. Jun Kuping. Jun Kuping. Or heard. Jerd. Jern Kuping. Jern. Fuck that. How much Madden do I listen to in order to become the cliche king of Smite? None. I try not to be a cliche king, unfortunately. I am generally... I have always liked turn of phrases and stuff like that, so cliches are just in my vocabulary. A lot of times I have to erase cliches. When I was doing the Bringing Home the Hammer miniseries, I had to erase a lot of cliches. So how many hot dog eating contests did I come up on? 0. Ha 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 ha. For the record, that was all Bart, not me. So Gandhi still puts in the work, dude. Gandhi does more work now. Gandhi is a lead designer for Xbox. He's a big part of what makes Xbox tick, and Gandhi's a big part of things behind the scenes that you don't see at all and don't see just yet. Maybe you'll see some Gandhi things, maybe you won't. A lot of like UI stuff comes out. Like Gandhi is just the dude that runs Xbox Smite and from the ground up to my knowledge. And like I said, Gandhi's also worked on things in the background, which should be interesting. I'm a lot different than you thought I'd be. What do you mean by that? A Xanapis? I'm usually very good at pronunciation and reading. I'm very good at sight reading and stuff like that. Whatever the fuck. Azonips. Like apocalypse, but azonips. You're missing a syllable. So this word looks like apocalypse, but it's missing a syllable, which is why that's throwing it out. Azonips. I'm trying to find the emphasis on the third syllable, but it just doesn't work. Anyway. I think this season is where you get to see the human strategies. Yeah, I think so as well. I think the game has a little bit more complexity to it, a little bit. And I also think that players and teams have really gotten to the point where it's extended. Synapse asked about really. Yes, really will be coming back with the advent of this season. A lot of adjustments had to be made. And honestly, what the fuck are we going to talk about in the off season? When the new season of SPL comes a new season of really. So sooner rather than later. D1 and Prague were D1 and Prague were the best OGs. You think it's Black Plague and Coney? I don't know. I like D1. Honestly, I like Toph. I like Toph a lot. When Toph gets on the mic, I get excited. I don't think that's out of the question when New York winning this decade. I don't think that's out of the question. We got to just pray to the rain gods that LeBron and other people get hurt, but no, I'm just kidding. Nobody ever prays to get hurt. He plays Crit Thanatos. Gee whiz. The new patch, Masamune will replace trans. No more stack building. You think so? So, I mean, for what it's worth, they did up the power on Masamune from 30 to 50. That might be different. I don't know if it'll replace Transcendence, but it's worth a look. Looks like Iftat is rapping. Zcon, I actually am rapping. You just don't understand. I'm on the top. I was actually going to lead into a rap, but I couldn't, so whatever. So showing this time in Thanatos knowledge. Yeah, I know my Thanatos a little bit. What do I think about the goddess Scotty? I think that Scotty is a strong god. I think she's got a lot of unique capabilities. I think that she'll be a lot of fun to play. I don't necessarily think that she will be a top tier or competitively viable because of the fact that she doesn't have an escape, like a leap or a jump or a dash, and I think that's totally fine. I don't think that every god needs to be viable for Chronos at all. So there's that. I know there's no R in it, but I'm trying to picture the word, the EA in herd, yeah. I can't pronounce herd without the R. Herd. Yeah, I'm just done, dude. This is why I'm not a linguist. My friend Chrissy, I'll call up Chrissy. I'll ask her. What do I think about the new god? I actually have a Swedish friend. I'll ask her. I'll ask Hannah how to say it. What do I think about the new god? Yeah, I think she's good, but I don't think there's a chance that she'll really see competitive play. The stream's a real barn burner. I try for it. I like to say the word barn burner, but really that's a Bartism. Will Envy be getting a skin for winning Xbox Worlds? I don't think so, but honestly, I'm not too sure. What is Kettle doing in the Season 3? I don't know, calling the pot black. Do I think Nemesis is viable in Season 3? Yes, especially with the change to her ultimate. I don't think that she's a number one pick, but I think if the enemy picks like 17 Guardians, Nemesis is pickable. She's always good in the I want to pick her against a specific team of tanky characters situation. Watch Dare to Care. He'll teach you how to play Nemesis, and he will teach you well. Are there any other MP5 items available for hunters? No. Does MP5 matter? That's up to you. How do I get involved with casting Smite? Once upon a time, I really liked Smite. I found out about Smite. I started watching Smite. Didn't really like the casting. Decided I wanted to do better. Then there was a post made many moons ago about looking for Smite commentators. New caster potential, schedule up for a talent search. This was way before So You Think You Can Cast ever came out. First off, thanks to the huge amount of feedback in the applicants for the chance to get your names out there as casters. Basically, at this point in time, Smite game was a 24-hour stream where different streamers streamed for 3-hour blocks at a time. DM Brandon had the prime time slot of 7 to 10 p.m. Side note, I got that prime time spot after a while. In any event, DM Brandon decided to take it upon himself to find new casters and talent in the scene. He brought a bunch of people on 2 years ago. As you can see, it was a full 2 years ago, December 29th, 2013. And he selected a whole bunch of people that would cast. Monday, January 6th was my first time casting anything ever. I sounded like a wrestling caster. It was terrible. Want to see something funny? Let's see. Oh, man. It wasn't in this thread. But there was... this guy said, please no F.Reason or just being whiny. Oh, man. It's not in this thread. But somebody made fun of my name, F-Swag, and was like, yo, you know, you got to make him change his name. And Brandon was like, yeah. nobody's going to be called F Swag on my stream and blah, 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 blah. It was very funny. It was very amusing. But so, and in any event, I just sort of tossed my hat in the ring. They were looking for casters. I said, hey, I'll try. I got my first cast Monday, January 6th at 8:30 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/SmiteGame. We casted some random ranked match. Brandon liked what I did. That was pretty cool. From there, I was still streaming on Tier Monster. Dry Bear, who didn't work for Hi-Rez at the time, he worked for Tier Monster. He saw what I was doing. He was like, hey, you want to cast? I didn't know you wanted to cast. I solo cast these tournaments, and sometimes I do it Squiddish. Do you want a shot? I said, sure, when? He said, hey, how about in 5 minutes? So I said, okay, fine. And then I casted a Tier Monster tournament, and, well, the rest is history. From there, I did a couple more Tier Monster tournaments. Bart sent me a message. He was like, hey, you want to do this for Smite Weeklies? Because before the SPL, there was Weeklies. I did that. I casted some Weeklies with Bart. They sent me the green screen that I showed you before, and then hop, skip, and a jump. They invited me to launch tournament, and the rest is history, I guess. Yo, I appreciate that, Enzo. Who do I think will be the top 4 teams in NA this season? Woony Tunes, which is xCloud9. Problem Solved, Envy, and Eager, I think, will be the top 4 teams. I don't like Crit Thanatos. I don't like Crit Thanatos either. When is the next patch hitting Xbox? Very, very soon. You can always follow twitter.com/Scott Gandhi to get the most up-to-date information on the Xbox. And here it is. Well, right now, Scott is at a bridal show with Reagan. It's exponentially worse than you could ever imagine. But I appreciate the love for Scott giving me the shout-out on his Twitter. But also, he mentioned that 3.3 will most likely be coming this week. And then, of course, he gives the standard Gandhi bro fist emote. You actually need that. What up, Q? We're just about wrapping things up. DM's comment on FDOT's name. Was that in that thread? Yeah, DM hated my name. Everybody should have. I hated my name. That's the joke. But what are you going to do? Am I going to follow the tourney? Of course I'm going to follow the tourney. Or do you mean March Madness? I'll probably follow from a distance. I don't really do college ball, but March Madness is fun to watch. I appreciate that you think I'm the best swag, Alyssa the Fox. I think you're the best Fox. Can we get any videos of my first casting? I'll have to dig that up, but I will look. I sounded like a wrestling announcer. A lot of what I did was, and they're coming from the side. He gets the kill. Penta. You know, it was very silly. DM is banned from the Smite subreddit, but to be fair, Richard Lewis is also banned from the League of Legends subreddit. So, you know, being banned from a subreddit is just sort of a badge of honor at this point. I do have a lot of tabs open. I generally keep a lot of tabs closed, but during first period, I like to have a lot of tabs up, just so I can talk about a lot of things. Do I like Crit Baka or Pen Baka more? Fuck all Bakas, but I guess I like Crit Baka because penetration Baka is irrelevant, because with Butcher Blades, he deals true damage. So you don't actually need the penetration to deal the damage with Butcher Blades. True damage is damage that avoids all mitigation and protection. So you don't really need to build full pen on Bakasura if you're going to be using Butcher Blades, because he does true damage, so fuck off. When are we getting updates and stuff on PS4? I imagine it'll be on the same level as Xbox, but I'm not too sure. Right now it's in closed beta. Once it exits the beta, I think we'll see a situation where the two updates for the consoles collide, but I'm not too sure about that. Do I think Team Allegiance will be making roster changes? No idea. Right now it seems like they're totally fine going into the season. I don't see why they would make a change. Richard Lewis was banned from DreamHack for the incident he had with the StarCraft guy. LOL. I think we got down to the bottom of chat, guys. 26 minutes late, but I finally got down. No SPL today. SPL is going to be much later. It's not. It's next week, so we will be starting the SPL the 26th, or rather, the 24th will be the first day of SPL. March 24th. Put it on your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. That will be the first day of the SPL. I apologize for going over, but I always end when I reach the bottom of chat. I appreciate it. Hey, I didn't say it. You did, Gandalf. It's not me. That's you. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. With no SPL, I'll probably be doing some game streaming later today. I'm going to go chill out. I still can't get the Division to stream, unfortunately. That kind of sucks. But definitely be streaming Smite later on tonight. I didn't work this weekend, so I'll be going to work on Monday, but I'll be definitely streaming Smite tonight. Hopefully I can get the Division working. Maybe I'll be streaming earlier, but Smite for sure. Love you, Q. I love everybody else in chat. I appreciate the love from each and every one of you. Shouts to the old subs. Shouts to the, well, we didn't get any new subs, but shouts to the nobody out there anyway. I appreciate it. I will catch you next time. No SPL today, so Sunday, 10 a.m. new time. I'll catch you next week. Peace.